Westcast
Network. Now things will start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day. The goods from the woods.
Hot damn.
Welcome to The Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley. I'm from Auburn, Alabama.
Hi, I'm Pat Riley from, let me list them off. Melbourne, Florida, St. Mary's, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, number of places.
Coming out of the woods to deliver the goods. Mr. Goodnight, man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour, baby.
Why did we have to say where we're from?
Well,
initially? Where are you from, Goodnight?
I'm from the fourth dimension.
We want people to know. The show's called The Goods from the Woods. We got to let people know we're actually from the woods.
The wood.
It's also the metaphoric woods, the place you go, deep in man's subconscious where all the dirty shit happens.
Also the goods from the woods. And by the way, welcome to our podcast.
If there's any women listening out there, you might want to turn down your radio or your computer or whatever, because this kind of sexiness can actually blow out the speakers and your woofers and your tweeters and your quadraphonic or whatever you got. You got to turn it down, because this is a lot of sexiness just going through the airwaves right now.
Oozing out of the bows.
You can get pregnant listening to this.
Yeah. This is the first show. This is the Westcast Network. We're one of the 8 inaugural podcasts.
Rivers, you sound like you should work for NPR or something like that. You got a wonderful radio voice.
Yeah, and Rivers Langley really goes in line with the NPR people's names, because it just seems like something that's just
Michelle Norris.
Preposterous enough. Because there's a guy that does like the news on NPR named Jack Spear, which it's like, that can't be your real name.
Jack Spear, Robert Siegel.
Sir Hias or Hardy Nelson.
Yeah.
He's the ethnic one.
Well, the thing about Robert Siegel, there's a way to pronounce that name where it goes Siegel.
Yeah.
But he says, I'm Robert Siegel. They're like, of course you are.
Yeah.
It's like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. They called him Dugan half the time.
Yeah, my friend calls him Dugan.
They, what was his actual name? Because it seems like when he wrestled,
Duggan.
When he wrestled Mid-South and everything, he was Duggan, but a lot of people just called him Dugan, and it really wasn't standardized till he came to the WWF.
Well, that's when you go to the North. That's when everything becomes standardized. You know,
Yeah,
that's when.
That's probably it.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan lives in my hometown.
We should say, if you don't know, Hacksaw Jim Duggan is a storied
professional wrestler.
Armed with his trusty 2x4 and an undying love for his country, Hacksaw Jim Duggan has defended the honor of the red, white, and blue for over 3 decades.
He looks like a lot of people that I know's moms back in the South, like very, very haggard and bear-like, and very stringy long hair,
and carries a 2x4,
American flag 2x4, lazy eye.
Yeah.
And he would he would do this thing where he would just yell, "Hey!" And people hey,
tough guy.
Yeah, and and a lot of moms back in the South, there's a lot of moms that look like professional wrestlers in the South. There's a lot of grandmas that look like Dusty Rhodes, a lot of moms.
Greg Valentine.
Yeah. Grandma Goldust.
Yeah. Moms that look like a lot of the moms look like either Mr. Perfect or Jeff Jarrett.
Michael P.S. Hayes.
Yes,
a lot of women look like Michael P.S. Hayes.
A lot of friends of mine woke up next to women that look like Michael P.S. Hayes after a long night at a Red Lobster bar. But no, so he goes to the bars, and this man smokes a lot of pot. Hacksaw is a big pothead, and it's like a rite of passage in my town that you smoke pot behind the dumpster of a bar with old Hacksaw.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, I'm jealous.
Yeah, no, he's
the only rite of passage I remember was watching the bear eat out in a dumpster one time. I'll say this: y'all ever notice there was a little bit of Bert Lahr to Hacksaw Jim Duggan sometime?
From Wizard of Oz?
Come tough guy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Bert Lahr was brilliant, by the way. Bert Lahr was brilliant.
He's the lion, right?
Yeah, I love that. There's that whole scene in the movie where the movie just stops and it becomes the Bert Lahr show. What puts the ape in apricot? Courage. That is a performer.
You didn't have to go and hit me, did you? Is my nose bleeding?
Starting out the gate strong. It's like we're going very obscure from the beginning. It's like that.
Oh, yeah.
That like you have to jump through the hoop of fire.
Well, we look at it this way. It's like, look, we're not here to relate to you. You're living in our world.
I was gonna say, if
you're
you're-
living in our
if we're-
world. It's like Fat Albert. So if you're not careful, you might learn something. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. So this podcast is kind of a weird sort of outgrowth of a lot of.
It's like a skin tag.
Yeah.
Those things are annoying.
At this
too.
point, a lot of people have cut it off after the Hacksaw Jim Duggan thing.
There's gonna be a lot of
They cut off a skin tag, or what they cut off?
My dad cuts off skin tags.
No, they're annoying because they show up in the worst places.
Under your armpits.
Yeah, I'm not going to lift my arms right now. The women don't listen to that part, but I'm just saying. And if you get that medication, it burns the damn things off, and it hurts. I had to burn one off my neck last summer, right about a year ago this time.
Yeah. But this is an outgrowth of a lot of outside the open mic discussions. We're all comics, and it's a rule, it's a law in comedy that you have to do a podcast.
That's right, especially in Los Angeles.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of.
And you have to get all the other people you know from
Yeah.
open mics on your podcast.
But this one, we don't actually talk about how you got into comedy and how you got your ass kicked in high school and stuff like
your
that.
first kiss.
This is a celebration or a celebration.
A
celebration.
a bacchanalia, if you will.
Bacchanalia, like Dionysus.
By
And
the
it's
way,
orgiastic, if you will.
Speaking of that, do you know like Denny's has bacchanalia right now? Who is that named for? That's named for like the 1% of English majors like myself that are eating at Denny's at 4 a.m.
Well,
going.
here's the thing, though. You learn if you read Euripides, you cannot stop a bacchanalia. You'll get ripped up to pieces, and your head will be a prop.
Well, there's
Yeah.
something about Denny's where they try and
They're big on puns.
Yeah,
Moons over Miami,
they're
if you
big
will.
on puns, but they're also trying to establish themselves as being something that it's like when you think Denny's, you think of like 3 a.m, just completely just a bunch of drunk people, and what they're trying to do is trying to bump themselves up in the status hierarchy.
Yeah, because maybe you'd look at their menu and they'd have those those sandwiches and things that were sponsored by bands.
Yes, that's exactly what I was
The
talking about.
Hoobastank sandwich.
No,
and
it was actually the Burrito.
Whoa.
The Hoobastank, and it was. I
Nothing
don't know
about that sounds good.
It was disgusting. Like it had like chicken tenders in it, and
Anybody-
chili, and onion rings, things that would not be in a burrito.
Anybody
Right,
who
right.
orders something from a menu because it's got a picture of Hoobastank on it deserves what they get.
Yeah.
Well, also anybody that orders a burrito from Denny's deserves what they
Yeah, but they had other ones. Like they had the plain white teas was like the plain white milkshake, and there was
I don't want to know what was in that.
and the Katy Perry one was like the hot and cold, like a hot, like because that song was big by her, so it was like a hot brownie on with ice cream, but Hoobastank got the short end of the stick. Or no, I think they probably like one of the members of the band was just like, guys, I had this thought in my mind, the Hooburrito.
Yeah.
And my friend Chris
And
actually.
they're not known for turning down bad ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen to the music.
They are named Hoobastank.
Yeah,
No.
but my friend Chris, my best friend Chris, ate a Hooburrito, and he got sick from it, and 20 minutes later he was throwing up in the Denny's parking lot, just going, yeah, Hoobastank, just
It was his own damn fault.
yeah, I know.
Well, the good news is even though Hoobastank isn't really a cultural force anymore, they could join forces with the BBC and have a Dr. Hooburrito.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you eat that fucking thing, you ain't gonna regenerate. I'll tell you that.
I'd hate to smell what the TARDIS smelled like after the Hooburito.
If they're gonna have, if they're gonna have like these things named after bands and shit, at least make them bands and shit that's good, like a Nazareth burrito. Or
Yeah. Now you're messing with the son of a bacon. Cheeseburger?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Seriously, love hurts.
Oh, it's just about, yeah.
Hair of the dog. Hair of the
only two songs.
Hair of the
I was-
dog.
Because that's
I
essentially
had
what
that
Denny's
tape.
is.
I had that on tape. I got it at a thrift store for like 75 cents. I had that tape.
The thing about Nazareth is like the chasm between their two big songs is immense.
Yeah.
It's
And they were
Love
on the same
Hurts.
album.
Yeah, they're on the same album. It's Love Hurts, which is, kind of pussy. And then, now you're mixed with son of a bitch! Like the most badass thing ever, and then just come on.
Well, I mean, it really sums up the psyche of a lot of Nazareth fans because they're complex individuals.
They're schizophrenic.
But at one level, like on the emotional thing, they have that swagger, that machismo.
Yeah.
That's really summed up by Hair of the Dog. And then when they're sensitive, when like Shirlene doesn't like,
Yeah, it's highs and lows, dude.
yeah, when Shirlene
Strikes and gutters for
yeah,
now.
Shirlene like breaks up with them and hooks up with Randy. You know, they love Hurts.
Most of the rest of the album was on the Hair of the Dog end.
Yeah.
'Cause remember there was
Sorry.
remember that one? It was one of the things you could really tell where Axl Rose got his ideas from.
Yeah.
And all this shit on it.
So speaking of music, music's going to be covered a lot on this podcast.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff about professional wrestling. A lot of stuff about just what would you like to call it, Rivers?
I when I pitched the show, used the word schlock culture. Things that are just so terrible that they
but they're
come
not
all
terrible.
the way. But what I'm saying is like
of irony.
things are so I don't know.
They're ingrained,
earnest.
yeah, but they're ingrained in our, all three of ours.
Oh, totally, yeah.
the cornucopia, if you will, the pageant that is
our
not an American life.
our upbringing, our current lexicon, just like
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a lot of guests, and there's gonna be no discussion of how we got to where we are today. It's a lot of just tell me your opinions about
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. If that
the
stuff comes up,
XYZ affair.
if that stuff comes up naturally, then great. But I'm not going to be like, who hurt you?
A lot of things might come up naturally. They got a nice toilet upstairs.
Yeah.
We've seen this.
Yeah.
We recommend, if anybody ever comes down to these facilities, we recommend a toilet. It's really good.
Yeah. I'm the last to not use it yet. I guess I'll
Well,
wait till after the show.
Yeah,
It's a rite of passage, brother.
I know. I cracked the proverbial champagne bottle on that thing.
Christened the toilet.
Yes. Also, good. The title of this podcast is, first of all, an homage to our Southern upbringings or Southern living, but also it's
Like the magazine.
yeah, very much. There'll be
Very
a lot
nice
of discussion of how to make doilies.
Yeah, I
later
was gonna
on.
say,
It's a mom's magazine.
My mom has-
And,
yeah.
I
totally
respect
has
that.
Southern
I
living.
respect that.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, we love moms. I know I love
absolutely.
mine.
Yeah.
If my mama listening, I hope not. But my mama's a saint. You cannot blame me on her
Yep. I
at
said
all.
the same thing.
But also the title "Goods from the Woods" is also a reference to a James Brown utterance. James Brown had which all of us have watched, had a short-running Soul Train ripoff show called Future Shock, where it was essentially James Brown in his lowest state.
And also his lowest cut jumpsuit.
Look at here! Look at here! Welcome to Future Shock, and I'm ready to get it on. Do my thing. What's that?
Well, you know that 70s period of coked out James Brown where all his songs were just a beat and him going, ha!
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, and he had a mustache, like
Oh,
so
an
it meant he
amazing
was
mustache.
Like he did at the Rumble in the Jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was in like this weird sort of evil James Brown state. He was
Yeah.
no longer James Brown from the '60s or even the Payback. This is James Brown who has hit rock, friggin' bottom.
Looking almost like a super villain version
was
of
gonna
Chuck
say,
Berry or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. But so he would just say these strings of nonsense, just like, we got a bunch of bad guys dancing, and if you want to come down and be arrogant and check your thing, they will take on all comers that come to this town. You understand? And it's just like you cannot. If you were to diagram the sentence, you couldn't.
What's that? I heard the cats say, get down, big boy, get down. Look at here, that's your dynamite and fantastic, if you will. Let's get ready for some more action. Chain reaction, cause it's couple number 2.
Well, let's set the format. Let's set the format. Okay, late 70s, Carter era, I believe, was 77 or something like this.
Yeah.
76. So Carter just got. This is like the South ascending.
Oh yeah,
into-
because that
yeah,
late
yeah.
70s period,
Carter was
Smokey
running.
and the Bandit,
Yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard when the South was
Yeah,
in.
Jimmy Carter got
Yeah.
elected. It was like a weird sort of the Jimmy Carter thing was a weird sort of transition because you got like it was very close to the death of Ronnie Van Zant and all those
Yeah.
guys and Lynyrd
Yeah.
Skynyrd, but so it was like a weird sort of like welcome. The South has like birthed forth into the national consciousness, and it was part of what became TBS.
Yeah.
And it was one of their.
Well, that was the thing.
programming.
Another new Southerner coming on the scene, Ted Turner.
Yeah.
And with early cable television, one of the first cable television giants, the Superstation, out of Atlanta. And I guess another Georgia resident, James Brown, is there. And I guess at some point he somehow convinced them, I got a Soul Train. I do my own Soul Train. This is better. This is better because it's James Brown. That's Don Cornelius. This is Planet Apes. This is James Brown. Future shot. It's going to be taking us into the future. So he has his own, dare we say, ghetto version. Or a ghetto version of Soul Train, really.
Yeah, it's filmed in a sound stage with just like a like a plywood like cutout sign that just says James Brown on it, but it's just like it's unabashedly
Soul Train.
It's unabashedly Soul Train, and at one point he acknowledges, he's just like, I'm not ripping off Brother Cornelius. Brother Cornelius, Don Cornelius, he's a big fan of Future Shock, and I'm a big fan of his.
No, he's not.
But
Don Cornelius was not
Don Cornelius is not. He's like contacting his lawyers right now.
I mean, if Don Cornelius was in back then, he would have killed himself.
Yeah,
would have killed himself 30 years earlier.
Yeah, Don Cornelius would have just gotten.
He had the right idea, but that's another story for another time.
But Jesus. But this is unabashedly low production value. And James Brown, this is James Brown. He can't even get his trademark stage moves down. He cannot do the mic stand.
He's botching everything.
He cannot. He's botching the mic stand move every time. Like the thing where he pushes the mic stand and kicks it forward. He'll usually in his heyday, it's just boom, boom, same line.
Yeah.
But he's like kicking it and it's hitting him in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And he's like, he messes up and he's doing this thing like a cat with string, like just toying with it. Like, I'm going to get this into place.
The only thing he's got down from his classic bit is the sweat. He's sweating like a hole in church.
Yeah. He's definitely, it's the cocaine, you know?
And the show mainly consists of three different things. One, which is plugging his then current album, which is Body Heat.
You can't lose. This is a new album by myself called Body Heat, which you better go out and try to get. So right now, everybody ready?
Yeah! He pretty much just yells songs from Body Heat the whole time. Two, dance contest. Most of the show is actually dance throwdowns.
Yeah.
And the third, there's occasional minutes of culture, of African American culture,
history. And it was like one of the things where he was like, it was at that sort of weird sort of tail end of the Black Power movement, and so he like James Brown was part of like it was his like that sort of Afrocentrism sort of thing that he went into with Black and Proud.
Yeah.
But like he was at the he was like a few years off from like Muhammad Ali and all those people that were really getting into Afrocentrism. He's beyond that point, so he's like, I need to get on that, and it's just
like when somebody's into something way too late, like they're still Rick-rolling people.
Well, it's him trying to do disco.
Yeah,
like way past.
Well, it was the beginning of disco, but it was like funk had already gone like past.
Well, disco
him.
really just evolved out of funk and like Latin dance, things like that. So it's a natural transition.
So he has these things where, and we'll get to the dance contest because they're just by far the best. He has, he's interviewing in a lot of the episodes, the first episodes, the curator of the George Washington Carver Museum, who is this very, very, she's probably in her 30s, this very learned woman who's very just respectable.
Sweet.
The absolute opposite of James Brown at this time.
Sweet lady.
Yeah.
Who probably gives lots of tours to like little children every day.
I've been.
And she talks.
If it's the one in Tuskegee, I've totally
it is the
been.
one in Tuskegee.
I've been there.
She talks though to the TV audience like they are a fourth grade class.
Right.
Except her only visible audience is a sweaty James Brown, who seems way too impressed by all of this, like he's never heard of it before.
He's interspersedly falling asleep. Because he's just like so messed up, and then he'll just come to and just be like, I remember this was the most beautiful thing when me and Mrs. Brown came to tour your wonderful establishment. I cannot believe he made this out of peanuts,
she's talking about George Washington.
And she's holding a picture, and it's just like, no, this is not made out of peanuts. This is a photograph of
peanut paper. They're making paper out of peanuts. and she's like, and this is George Washington Carver, and he makes all these different uses of the peanut. And then they come back from a commercial bumper. And like, that's right, George Washington Carver, he did a lot of things out of peanuts. I was just over in Europe, and a lot of them are still being used over there.
And he's like,
do they have peanuts in Europe? I don't think so.
And he's sweating, and he's sweating so much that you expect his mustache is going to melt off of his face.
Well, and he's rocking back and forth, like you expect him to just fall over backwards.
And then at the end of it, like, she gives this, like, and she's like trying to be a good sport. She's just like, just get this creepy guy away from me. Because James Brown is just randy the entire time too. He'll just like grab women to dance with them, and like they'll just be like, like first of all he's sweating profusely, but they're also like,
it's an aphrodisiac.
Get this guy away from me.
Yeah.
What is he? He's like, he's just gross. But she's just like trying to get away. Like he's like, I'm on for 3 episodes. I just want to make this just get out of here. And he's just like, how about you go down on this stage and dance? You look like it.
How about you go down on James Brown and dance?
And she's like, no, we'll let everybody else dance. Which, by the way, if you look at the people in there, it's like the motliest crew of people. Like, you could attest.
Yeah, there's a guy he comes out, and I wasn't sure what I was looking at first. Like, the guy comes out for the dance contest wearing it looked like a box or a shoebox, and then it turns out it's a bag
that says
NBA on it, and he's like dancing, and like there are people like humping the floor.
Yeah, maybe he had a try for the Hawks earlier that day.
There's a guy who it's the first guy in the first dance contest in the video I watched. Like he kind of pops and locks, and then just goes face down on the floor and starts humping the floor.
Yeah, in the dance contest, there's a lot of humping.
Yeah.
There's
humping galore.
There's a lot of
humping, and there's a lot of like early break dance, popping and locking and things like that.
That's what I said. Proto break dance.
Street dance. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and if you imagine. If you were to understand it as like this sort of cultural disparity between the North and the South, like your Northern breakdancing is very like, if any of the early rap videos, or if you've watched Breakin', or like what breakdance has essentially become now.
Yeah.
If you look at the Southern version of, I guess, what breakdancing was, it was a lot of
humping,
furniture, there was a lot of competitive humping. Like if there was a b-boy battle, there would just be like 2 guys just humping inanimate objects until like somebody was like, whoa, we can't handle this anymore.
Well, speaking of Tuskegee, that was the where that, do you remember, it was a couple of years ago, there was a video filmed of all these dudes in a dorm just taking turns humping this ottoman.
Yes,
to music. Yeah. That was Tuskegee University. That happened 15 minutes away from where I lived.
Dick Van Dyke came up at the end and tripped over it.
Yeah, it was like they were humping furniture to like Pretty Ricky songs or something like that. Yeah.
That happened 15 minutes away from where I was at the time.
One or another, just you get
humped an
high,
ottoman.
you blow in the trigger, Ricky. That ottoman starts to look good.
And then if your friend's got the ottoman, you can always go for the couch or the floor. But it's like there's something about Southern, I guess, something in the Southern dance.
Yeah. Well, my favorite move in the Ottoman video is the guy goes in and he does the fall the way you would do a fall to go into the worm.
Yeah.
But then just starts humping. Like, it's a perfect, like, he stands there, does a little thing, and then falls as if to do the worm, and then just starts fucking the couch.
But yeah, this is very much what the dance contests are like. And they have a Soul Train line. He steals the Soul Train line, and it's just people... The women, it's funny because the women dance normally. The women will dance as if they're on Soul Train. And the women that dance in Soul Train,
they gotta be ladies. It is the South.
They're ladies, and they know how to dance. And if you've ever watched Soul Train, the ladies in the Soul Train line know how to dance. They can dance and the guys just clown.
Yeah.
But like in this one, it's just like a lady just dancing, and the guy just gets on the floor and just starts humping the floor.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and James Brown's just like, this is hot.
I think Ted Turner ever called him up. It was like,
I'm sorry to bother you, James,
like,
but
James, you think
we tone down the humping.
Floor humping in the next episode.
And James Brown, and so James Brown uses the term "goods from the woods."
Yeah,
come from the woods to deliver the goods, Daddy. Body heat, and it's just, and this is where the title of the podcast comes from. But also, there's one point in there, and Goodnight and I got a crack up out of this. I'd gotten a DVD from my friend Michael, who had gotten that as a present from a gas station. And it was there was at the end he's just like talking about how prolific this show is. Like it's been watched by anybody.
How long did the show go? Do you know?
The thing is that most of the episodes have been destroyed. So this has gone for a very long time, possibly. You know,
Yeah.
this is the South. It was a cultural vacuum at the time. It could have gone on for years.
It might still be
I thought
going
it
on.
only ran for a little while.
Probably, you know. But there
Yeah.
was because this was just like TBS or at the time
Superstation.
Well, at the
right?
time it was WTGC or
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, so it
yeah.
was still like a
yeah,
Atlanta.
it was still an UHF station. So they had like the standbys of TBS. It had Georgia Championship Wrestling,
Oh, yeah.
which
Yeah.
turned into WCW Saturday Night. They
I'm
had,
Georgia Champions Wrestling. I'm your host, Gordon Soley.
yeah, and then they had Braves baseball, Atlanta Flames hockey before they became the Calgary Flames, Andy Griffith Show, Hanna-Barbera cartoons, just all the.
I would watch the shit out of that.
Yeah,
show.
it's
I
the most
did
awesome.
watch this shit. I loved when Superstation was shit like that. When you
Yeah.
got WCW Wrestling and Sanford Son, I'm dead.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
You can
I
dismiss
don't
your
need any
reserve.
other
It's really
channels.
good.
It was the greatest station ever, and then just randomly thrown in some period during the 70s when they were just branching out as a UHF station and doing the microwave feeds. And when cable was starting, they were just like randomly wedged into. It was late at night on Fridays, like probably at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
because James Brown probably. Ted Turner probably had a favor that he owed James Brown.
Right.
He was just like, yeah, James, we'll give you a show on Friday nights. He's like, perfect! I'm going to take things over!
Yeah.
So he has this thing where he basically, at the end, he's just like, this show is having a large reach. All my friends in Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada and Jamaica. The show's going down to Jamaica and in Liberia. And he's just like, listing off like African countries, because like there was a time in which like a lot of the African, it was like right in between when the 70s when a lot of the later countries got out of colonial rule,
Right.
So that was like a big thing. So he's just like, yeah, all the countries like in Zaire, and he's just like listing off countries in Zimbabwe. I know you're listening to me, and he doesn't understand that this like feed only goes
It's a
out
UHF.
to-
Yeah, you just get out to like Roswell.
Or you
just
got a
get-
satellite dish.
Yeah.
They hear you're real good
But
in
they're in
Dunwoody.
Nigeria watching this, and Nigeria watching this like, oh man, when's Georgia Championship Wrestling come on again?
Yeah,
want
like
to see
there's
Tommy
somebody
Rich.
there's somebody in Jamaica, like Peter Tosh is just in his compound in Jamaica,
Braves suck, man. Braves suck these days, man.
just like watching TV completely stoned, just going, oh, Future Shock. This is my favorite show.
Well, back in those days too, like times like late Friday night was when they would put on that kind of weird music program.
Yeah, well, that was when
Friday
Soul
night
Train was on,
videos,
too.
Yeah, and later on,
Night Flight. Remember
Yeah.
that one?
later on, Graffiti Rock.
Midnight Special.
Have you guys ever seen?
Midnight Special James Brown.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen clips of Graffiti Rock?
No, I haven't.
Graffiti Rock, oh god, this is ridiculous. This is like the most awful thing ever. So when rap started getting popular, they would do like the break-in show, like the movie Break-In and all that stuff. Well, they decided to have this rip-off of Soul Train called Graffiti Rock.
Well, party people in the place to be. You just tuned into a #1 crazy fresh show we call Graffiti Rock.
These are not like, these are just random people that they just put in Adidas tracksuits. Like Vincent Gallo from Brown Bunny fame
God.
is in the background. Like these are not like.
Was he racist then?
He probably was.
I just want to say this. Brown Bunny, it's not a kid's movie.
Yeah.
None of his.
No,
Buffalo-
but with
Buffalo
the name,
66.
I got into a serious babysitting accident because of that name.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you know a movie called The Brown Bunny is not going to be for kids?
I thought it was a reference to poop because, I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. when I
Yeah.
say that
You
movie.
did hear about Vincent Gallo having the thing where he's like trying to get married, right?
No.
That's what I was referring to. Okay, so he had this thing and he goes like he wanted a child and he had this like on his website, he was like, here are my qualifications. And one of them was like, you have to be white. And it was just
Was this like Michael Jackson?
I don't know. Like he was trying to inseminate somebody for like $20,000 or something, and he was, I guess, testing people out. I wish they turned it into a reality show. That would have been the best.
Is he
all
related
these
to Ernest
hipsters,
and
all these
Julio?
like,
Vincent Gallo's Aryan Nation.
all these hipsters from Williamsburg and Bushwick, just
Yeah, yeah.
like, hi, my name is Rainflower. I graduated from Vassar, and I play accordion in an electro klezmer band, and it's all like 15 of them, and he treats them like shit.
Yeah, klezmer, that's Jewish. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I know.
I said white.
Yeah, so Vincent Gallo's in this, and it's and it's not like the South. These aren't like people that were at the genesis of rap starting.
Yeah.
These weren't people from the South Bronx.
Yeah.
These were like kids from like Soho that they were like got like a bunch of like jabronis that were trying to crash like a Basquiat party or something like that. They're out in front of something. It's like, oh, you want to get into Jean Basquiat's good graces? We got this show that we're starting called Graffiti Rock. So it's a bunch of these like NYU kids. They can't dance to the rap or anything. Like, they're just playing rap songs and they're all kind of like dancing like Dieter from Sprockets. And there's one line in it that's classic, and it's just like these two guys, and one of them's like, they're the host, and he's like, how you rock your Kangol, Holmes? And the other one's like, I'll rock it fly. And the other one's like, word. That's
That's it.
That's
the
hip hop.
exchange.
Yeah, no, that's
much
it.
creepier than James Brown.
Oh,
Much
man.
creepier.
So that's James Brown Future Shock. You should look it up. It's
You should live it.
Yeah.
Well, let's say this too. Now,
It's like cocaine came to life and did a show.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
That's the only
Cocaine,
way to
the TV
describe
show.
it. Yeah,
Exactly.
Like if just a fucking
Only better.
anthropomorphic pile of cocaine
Yeah.
made a show.
Right spot, make you drip. actually, a couple of issues. On to it. One of them is featured prominently in this is one of his songs from the Body Heat album.
Yeah.
And what was that song called again?
Well, I don't know if it's on the Body Heat album, but it's called Hot, and it's a ripoff of
One would have to assume.
It's a ripoff of Fame.
By David
David
Bowie.
Bowie.
It is the same music.
This morning I woke up all in heat. Couldn't find no dry spot from my head down to my feet. Got gasping and coughing.
Well, there's an interesting story behind it because James Brown's guitarist before James Brown had a guitarist named Carlos Alomar that switched over to the Bowie camp. He started working for the Bowie territory, brother. And
Bowie paid better.
yeah, Bowie did pay better. He didn't fine you.
Bowie was good pay people.
So so Carlos Alomar comes over and he shows him this riff that he did, and Fame got made. It was him and Bowie and John Lennon in the studio. Fame gets made. Well, James Brown, since Carlos Alomar had played it in front of James Brown's like, I own it, and he does like a rip-off version of it, where he's just like, I own this is mine, and he does this horrible song where he just is, it's bad, and it was so bad that David Bowie refused to would only sue him if it was a hit. And he was just like, but it's not going to be a hit, so what's the bother?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, maybe we should give him a little bit. Get a little bit of the song.
Yeah.
It starts, it goes bump, 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 bump,
Yeah.
bump, bump, bump,
And-
bump. Yeah!
It's like it's got the guitar line, which I can't replicate, but he
Bump,
just
bump, and then,
Yeah.
we want to do it? You want to do it?
You go,
We'll give him a
man.
2 minute. No, we'll give him 2 minutes. Come on, we'll do it together. Woke up this morning all in heat. Couldn't find a dry spot from my head down to my feet. Then I start thinking about your sexy body. Good God, make me drip.
you have to get the p at the end of drip. All right.
And then, as you said, well, I should say the lip sync version, or the
No, that's a live. He sings it live.
Yeah, but with studio backing.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the studio backing is actually better because, as you pointed out, Pat, the studio one has a lot too much of them background vocals going. Gimme your lovin'.
And then they have like a weird sort of nasal thing.
And now this was the Techwood Drive Studios, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The home of Georgia Championship Wrestling, which makes it a special thing in my heart. And a place that's had both James Brown and Tommy Rich in the same building. That's funky. That's the American
Wrestling
dream.
#2.
Yeah. That's
Jimmy Carter's mama's favorite wrestler.
Jimmy, the story was that Jimmy Carter wanted to invite him to the inauguration, but he couldn't go because he refused to take his mask off, and Secret Service wouldn't have it.
Kayfabe to the grave.
Yeah. That's how they did. That was the same inauguration, if I recall, that Willie Nelson smoked the joint on top of the White House. Is that right?
I don't know.
Have you never heard that? Okay, so the Jimmy Carter's inauguration sounds like amazing because you got the Allman Brothers there.
Yeah.
You got it was Allman Brothers. You got, I believe, Lynyrd Skynyrd. I know for a fact Charlie Daniels band and Willie Nelson. And Willie Nelson excused himself, found his way to the roof of the White House, and smoked a joint on the roof of the White House.
That's awesome.
And then he said it in a Rolling Stone interview or Playboy or some interview later, and like him and Jimmy Carter kind of, Jimmy Carter was pretty pissed that he said, because obviously it makes him look like, oh, you couldn't stop Willie Nelson from smoking a joint in the White House. How are you going to beat? How are you going to beat the Russian bear? But yeah, I don't know, man. I would love to have been at Carter's inauguration.
That
sounds
best.
amazing.
No, screw the Clinton inauguration with Fleetwood Mac and all those.
Oh yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, come on.
All that middle of the road stuff.
Yeah, you got Allman Brothers and Willie smoking pot on the White House. That's awesome.
And you would have had Mr. Wrestling too.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen who else it would have been just like this incredible, because that's what we were saying before, like Southern culture had just like exploded.
Oh yeah.
It was huge.
Fourth.
Yeah.
It's also too when they started calling it the Sun Belt and mix it in there with parts of the Midwest and
that's when
Phoenix
that's when it went south.
Yeah.
You know, that, pardon the pun.
But like that's what a lot of people started moving there. Those cities in Texas and things like Dallas started growing. More people like moving to the south.
Metroplex.
Yeah.
And you need some love from fascination.
James Brown Teacher Shock T-shirts are available now.
What's that?
Get down like James Brown with your Teacher Shock T-shirt. Send $4.99 plus handling to Future Shock T-shirt, Post Office Box 41126, Atlanta, Georgia. James Brown Future Shock T-shirts with body heat.
Your body, please.
Been watching a lot of Police Academy.
Police Academy.
Yeah. Don't you do that, Hightower. Hightower, you mess up, you are out, boy. Move it. That's my GW. But remember for a while in the 80s, he kind of specialized in playing that same kind of character in movies like Mannequin and Short Circuit.
It's been a while since I've watched those movies.
I
I haven't watched USA Up All Night in a very long time, so I've
those are the good old days. That was like teenage just spanking it shows. I mean, seriously.
Ski School, Bikini Car Wash, all those movies, were heavenly bodies.
Yeah. Well, even like Police Academy came out of that vein when they used to have those kind of like Animal House inspired body
Porky's,
comedies.
Porky's,
yeah.
They were just like Porky's had the first mover, like Animal House and Porky's had the first mover advantage, and then everything afterwards was just garbage.
But they just clogged the 80s, and in the early part of the 80s, they were still in theaters. By the end of the decade, they were all just going straight to video or cable. But in the early part of the decades, there were a lot of these ones like joysticks and stuff about hot tubs that were all actually in theaters.
Yes.
I have an old episode of a bootleg of like a Memphis Wrestling or something that actually has a commercial for joysticks playing at like the drive-in.
Joysticks.
If everyone would like just bag the noise, okay, like we could do this?
Everyone's doing it. But it's not vulgar.
Kids play with their joysticks day in and day out, jerking back and forth.
There's another one too where they got a double feature at the drive-in, and it's Rambo and Purple Rain.
Wow.
No, First Blood. And Purple Rain.
Jeez, that sounds like my dream.
It is
sort of thing, because I think all three of us together are huge fans of Prince,
of the Purple one.
Yeah. Prince's.
Prince is a great inspiration and influence.
There's a friend of mine out here, Luke Jensen. His mother is in Purple Rain.
Really?
Yeah. He told me that I believe she was hired. There was going to be some scene with like ballerina, like a ballet scene, and that ended up getting cut. But Prince just hired every ballet dancer in Minneapolis, of which Luke's mom was one of them, and they ended up cutting the scene. But to make it up to them, he put all the ballerinas in the front row of the final scene where he's singing Purple Rain.
Ooh.
And Luke told me they're panning across the audience, and she's like the only Japanese person in the crowd. I was like, so now I have to get a copy of Purple Rain to find that.
I've got one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have all the Under the Cherry Moon. Remember that one?
Ooh.
One of the greatest movies ever made, Under the Cherry Moon. It's no, seriously, it's like a paradise on earth when you watch this movie. Seriously, it's like I could sum up in my soul what heaven would be like. It'd be a lot like Under the Cherry Moon. It's Prince and Jerome from the Time, but this is after the Time broke up, and they're gigolos on the French Riviera.
That's the one with Helena Bonham Carter, correct?
No, it's the woman that was in The English Patient.
Oh.
Kirsten something other.
Kirsten, jeez.
I forget her name, but it's the woman from The English Patient, and it's also got the bad guy from.
I'm not in on my mid '90s Oscar bait.
It's got the bad guy from Beverly Hills Cop in it too. You know, the guy that looks kind of like Terrence Stamp, but it's an incredible movie. It's in black and white. It's where the song "Kiss" originally appeared.
Yes.
Was in the soundtrack of this movie, and it's just this dream landscape of the French Riviera, where it's all. There's a real lesson to it about the immortality of the spirit. Like it's Platonic almost. The immortality of the soul and love. And that's really what the movie is about.
Oh, Jesus.
You know, and it's also it's like Plato in the cave. One of the other messages of the movie is life is a parade.
Yeah.
Life
is
just
a parade. Shadows on the wall.
Yeah, it's just all an illusion. So have fun.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, until love finds me, he says, life is a parade. And the other thing, what is it? If two people really love each other, they couldn't be torn apart no matter what. The flesh is nothing, dig. We're living in a dream world.
Is that a Jerome line or is that a
it's
Prince
it's
line?
Prince talking to Jerome, and they get in that kind of like, you know, when they actually get black again, instead of being the sort of androgynous figures that they are.
Yeah.
Like the part where Jerome gets pissed at Prince and he just starts heavy breathing and goes, honey, don't you know I'll slap the waves out your hair? There's a lot of almost minstrelry in it like that.
I wasn't aware there was. I just thought there was Purple Rain, Graffiti Bridge. I didn't know Prince made.
No, this is much better than Graffiti Bridge.
I guess Helena Bonham Carter was in Graffiti Bridge.
Yeah, that was the one from '91 or something.
Yeah, that was. It was. What was her name? Ingrid Chavez. She was one of the Prince camp, the one who does the rap on like Alphabet Street.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's good looking, short haired girl, isn't it? George Clinton is in it, but only for like a minute. What's her name? Mavis Staples. And,
I love it.
And the kid who had that song "Round and Round," Tevin Campbell
from Rat.
That's where it comes from. Yeah.
From Rat.
Somebody
Milton
from
Berle
Rat?
was in it. No, Tevin Campbell.
He was like an R&B kid singer in the early '90s.
Oh, okay. I just hear Round and Round. I immediately think.
No,
it's
remember the song?
Round and Round.
No,
it's gotta be Rat.
Round and Round.
Yeah, no.
It was written by Prince.
Oh,
Prince wrote a lot of.
He did.
And he never gave himself credit. That was the incredible thing. Like, there's no indication of how prolific Prince is because he went under so many pseudonyms.
Yeah.
And some of them were just like obvious giveaways, like Christopher or something
Well, that's
like
his
that.
name, actually, in Under the Cherry Moon. It's
Really?
Christopher Tracy.
Huh. But like, there could be. It's almost like the Hollywood blacklist writers. Like, you have to. He probably has like fronts, like, you know, so many people that he was just like friends. It was like, I have this song. Use your name.
He used to produce the Time albums under the name Jamie Starr in the
Yeah,
Starr
yeah.
Company, and he'd build the kayfabe by actually having disses towards Jamie Starr on
Jamie
his own
Starr's
album,
a thief. Yeah.
It's time to fix your clock.
There's always that discussion of who is the better 80s icon, Prince or Michael Jackson?
The answer is Prince.
It's Prince.
Michael Jackson was pathetic. Let's just be honest. Okay? Anybody who owns the world like that and their idea of fun is taking other people's kids on balloon rides, you're a sick person.
I like Michael Jackson just fine, but Michael Jackson can't shred, and Prince can shred like a motherfucker.
Michael Jackson was a better singer, and Michael Jackson was a better dancer. But Prince was a good singer, a good dancer, an excellent musician
And
on multiple
songwriter, too.
Yeah, Quincy Jones was the genius behind Michael
Yeah,
Jackson.
that's true.
There's no doubt about it, because after he stopped working with Quincy Jones, his music went rapidly downhill.
Yeah, which interestingly enough, he got Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, which has the tie to the time,
Yep.
Yeah.
which is, so he was trying to capture some of that Prince,
He
Minneapolis.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
PYT, Pretty Young Thing on Thriller is just him doing the Minneapolis sound.
Yeah, and produced by the dude, what's his face from the Buggles, Trevor Horn. Yeah, the guy with the glasses that did like Art of Noise. and was in Yes and the Buggles. And,
Yeah. Well, and Prince, oh my God, his songs. He writes all his own songs. That's the thing.
There was a while that he was so prolific. He was writing great songs for the Time and for Vanity, and doing his best albums at the same time.
Hell yeah. No,
Manic Monday, remember that one?
Yeah.
That's him.
Wait, Manic Monday?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
another Manic Monday?
Yeah, you can
Wish
tell.
it was Sunday?
Yeah.
Just another manic Monday. Wish it was Sunday.
Because listen,
I didn't know that.
Listen to the verses. The melody is exactly the same as the verses from 1999.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
I was dreaming when I wrote this.
Yeah.
And then the other one is when the train will never make it on time.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's the same
Man,
thing.
I had no idea.
There was the one person that I think I always thought would be the angriest about Prince being like so amazing was Rick James.
Yeah.
Because like Prince opened for Rick James and when Prince was starting out and he blew Rick James off of the stage. And Rick James tried to do all the like stuff that Prince succeeded at. Like he tried to write songs. Well, he did write songs for like the Temptations and
Eddie Murphy,
Mary Jane Girls, and trying to be that
Eddie
like,
Murphy.
Yeah, lest we forget Party All the Time.
I had to say that twice.
There's one guy in that video that looks like Carlton Banks that does this dance, and I wish you could get an essence of it, but he like kind of feathers his hands out and then just like rubs his chest, like he doesn't like move. He moves his hands and he has his elbows cocked back, so it's like he has like little arms.
It's like a T-Rex dance.
Yeah, it's like almost like a T-Rex thing. Like he has hands growing out of his chest, and then he kind of does this like feathering them out, and then he just like rubs his chest where he's just like, I'm so into Eddie Murphy's just his
non-funny singing career.
And there's one point where Rick James, like at one of the points where he feels like there's a climax coming.
Oh, he takes over the whole song.
No, but he's behind the production in the production booth behind the console, and he hits the table and he stands up and he rises and does like the power claw hand, and he's like and he has like the poodle hair that's like blonde, and he tried to be Prince, like he really tried, and then Prince came along and was like, nah, I can do you better, and just like completely blew Rick James out of the picture.
Yeah, well, it's almost like you could see Prince's career progress from being compared to Rick James all the time to being compared to Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
It's like he moved up.
Well, it's Kristen Scott Thomas that was under the chair.
Yeah. Well, she was an English patient. Wasn't she? Yeah.
One of my favorite memories ever was I was riding around with a friend of mine who had just gone through like a breakup, and When You Were Mine came on. I think When You Were Mine is probably my favorite.
Really?
Love that song.
Great song.
Hate Cyndi Lauper's version. That shit infuriates me. But Prince's version of When You Were Mine is amazing. And we're riding around listening to When You Were Mine, and my friend was just kind of like had his hand on his face, and I was like, "What's up, buddy?" He's just like, "I know exactly how Prince feels, man."
Have the decency to change the
That's the best thing about When You Were Mine is the line where he goes, "I used to let you wear all my clothes." Prince is the only man where that applies.
Yeah.
Like, he's tiny and he wears girl clothes, so it's perfect.
What's your favorite Prince song? Goodnight.
AUT-O-Matic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All 10 minutes of it, and it's all its bondage glory. You listen to it when you're driving around in the middle of the night. It's the best thing that ever was.
Yeah, mine is.
Please don't torture me now.
Mine is the one before Automatic.
DMSR.
DMSR.
Yeah. Oh, when you that 1999 I was gonna say my favorite Prince album, and when you listen to that 1-2, that Colossus, that Gemini, that Castor and Pollux, if you will, of DMSR into AUT-O-Matic, that's
and
like
Let's
nothing
Pretend
else.
We're Married is before that, and that's no slouch either. It's
whole-
almost like
that's
a sweet because it like. Prince was so amazing at like transitions between the songs, and they were just like the song would like stop and go into the other one. Like there wasn't that fade out bullshit. Like he would just like Dirty Mind, where it just goes. Like the album starts with. It's just like out of nowhere.
Also a big fan of Pop Life.
Oh, I like that one too.
Love that song.
I gotta admit, not the biggest Around the World in a Day fan.
Yeah.
But there's like 4 songs on I like Pop Life. I like Temptation. I like obviously Raspberry Beret. And what's the other one? Paisley Park. But the rest of it, like The Ladder and all that stuff, don't really do it for me. But Pop Life is a real underrated gem.
Oh, great song.
You remember the part in the middle, near the end, where there's that breakdown and there's the crowd noise?
Yeah.
There's an urban legend that's supposed to be the crowd the time that Prince opened for the Rolling Stones in like 1981, and he was booed off stage.
Really?
But it's not. It's a stock sound effect of a boxing fight.
Oh, okay.
Because you can hear like the bell and everything.
I always thought that like that's one of the things I always found interesting is like when artists open for other artists and they get like negative reactions and they become like immense.
Yeah.
How big of assholes do you think those people feel that like went to the Monkees concert and then Jimi Hendrix is opening for the friggin' Monkees? And they're like, get off the stage, Foxy Davy, you know? And then like 2 years later, these girls are just like, you know, realizing that Jimi Hendrix is...
Or just every band that's ever opened for Rush that went on to surpass Rush that got booed by Rush fans.
It's hard to unless it was the 60s or early 70s when people were really open about stuff. It's hard to open for the Rolling Stones because you have a ton of people there that are just there to see the Stones. There's always like a crowd and a traffic jam. It always starts late. So by the time like people are waiting for the Stones, they get grouchy.
Yeah, well, you know who blew them off the fucking stage? Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Yeah, but you know what it was? That was coked up Ron Wood era mid-70s
Still,
Stones.
a weakened Stones, but still the Stones.
Yeah, it was like, you know.
All right. We got to be truthful here. We've got to address real issues, no matter how unpopular or controversial they might be.
All right.
I think it's safe to say here we're all weaned on Skynyrd in a way.
Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Although I realize going to a Skynyrd concert in the 70s must have been a wonderful experience, am I the only one that on record at least is disappointed by their live sound?
Wait, like from back then?
From back then.
No, with the strange motley crew of people they have now.
like the two.
Well, no, back then. Right now, I mean, shit, that's not really
Ronnie
Skynyrd.
Van Zant's. I don't even think Ronnie Van Zant's brother is still touring with
But I
them.
mean,
he is.
if you listen,
It's
to
only him.
Skynyrd, and especially their first couple of records that are produced by Al Cooper, they're sublime.
Oh,
they're
they're amazing. Yeah.
But their live sound I've always found disappointing. They use the piano guy in songs he doesn't belong in just so we have something to do.
Billy Powell.
Yeah, Billy Powell.
Their solos, although fun, are never like improvisational enough. And it's one of those bands where it's like the record sounds better.
Well, have you seen the Old Grey Whistle test?
Yeah.
With them, I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
I'll say this: they had Ed King still at that point.
Right.
And even though he was a more talented guitarist, the Steve Gaines stuff, he was good on like stuff that they had recorded for, like Tifa, Texas. But like Steve Gaines' solos in the middle of Sweet Home Alabama never did it for me.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that.
I've always been somewhat disappointed by their live sound. The Freebirds that go on way too long with the piano intro and the bird chirping.
Yeah.
I mean, the kind of rodeo stomp at the beginning of the live versions of Three Steps is fun. The solos feel too like they've done these things a million times, so they're all going, because it's the exact same solos every time.
Yeah.
And Give Me Three Steps, the record, is one, you know, seriously, that could be the last thing I hear before I die, and I'll die happy.
I probably would also not want to go to a Lynyrd Skynyrd album in the 70s because I'd probably get the shit kicked out of me. Because there were some real shit kickers at those.
They opened for New York Dolls once.
Really?
Yeah, Skynyrd were hell of guys.
No,
man.
they were hell of guys. It was just probably the people that took Sweet Home Alabama seriously.
Right.
Well, I think they were up in New York when they were opening that.
Well, yeah. Jesus Christ. I can't imagine, you know.
I can't imagine it drank and went on backstage.
Oh, God, yeah.
Johnny Thunders just like,
you know. New York Dolls was so bad. They had a guy who died from a drug overdose before they were a signed band.
Yeah. Well, they also gave birth to Buster Poindexter, which is the most unforgivable thing the New York Dolls ever did.
They keep on rocking.
He had a damn good version of That You Santa Claus, though.
Buster Poindexter did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
David Johansen aged very well.
Yeah, he looks the same.
He looks the exact same.
He still looks like Mick Jagger's kid sister.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have the full hair now, but, you know, he definitely, for being as old as he is and probably partaking in the amount of extracurriculars.
What made him so much fun, though, was he was such...
Even Sylvain doesn't look like a train wreck.
Well, he was so sissy looking,
yeah.
Buster Poindexter, but he had that whole Brooklyn Bugs Bunny kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
So it was such a juxtaposition. By the way, have y'all ever seen the movie that they made, the little documentary about Arthur Killer Kane, the bass player for the New York Dolls?
No, I have not.
It was called I think it was called Killer Kane. But it came out, it was around 2005 or something like that, and it follows, it's the story of Arthur Kane, the New York Dolls bass player, and he became like a Mormon later on in life, and he died.
Said Rosebud before he died.
Yeah, and it's a very touching documentary if you see it. It bring a tear to your eye, really.
I remember seeing a documentary one time, it was the MC5 documentary, And oh god, I forget who it was. It might have been Wayne Kramer, probably Wayne Kramer, or one of the guys from the band that's surviving. That was he was talking about the Stooges, and he was just like, "Raw power, suck my dick."
I watched one of those history of rock and roll shows or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I've told you about this before. It's my favorite thing ever. They're on the section of talking about Little Richard. Little Richard's from Macon, Georgia, and he used to, before he moved to California to pursue his music career, he washed dishes at a restaurant and a bus station. And so they say that, and then they cut to Joe Strummer, who's sitting there leaning back in his chair with sunglasses and like a mohawk shaved in his head. He just goes, "Can you imagine it? Little Richard, the greatest genius of the 20th century, washing dishes in a fucking bus station in Macon, Georgia." And he says Macon with so much contempt. It's
We
amazing.
didn't have the dole over here, boy. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
I
It's so great.
actually purchased a copy of an album of Little Richard's music after he left rock and roll the first time.
Oh, okay.
Like like post 1959, where he left
Yeah,
it
yeah.
to like renounce his rock and roll lifestyle and renounce his homosexuality. And this album is one of the most unintentionally funny things I've ever heard by a person that has unspeakable talent and genius.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just one of those things you listen to it and you're like, part of your mind's just like, this is Little Richard. But the other part of mine, I don't know why I'm turning into Henry Rollins all of a sudden.
Yeah.
One part of your mind's like, well, this is Little Richard. The other part of it's like, this is fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
he's
yeah.
just like, he's singing these songs, he's just like, he isn't even doing the Little Richard voice. He's doing this weird voice like, oh, like that kind of like.
Trying to do the gospel
voice,
work
and
it
he's
in.
just, I left show business. I want to be straight. And all these songs where he's just like.
Wait, does he actually say I want to be straight?
Yeah, he's just like, I left show business. I want to be straight.
God, that's awesome.
And it's just like, all these songs are just like him, just like, it's almost like a Jeremiah ad where he's just like whipping himself, right there. I can't remember any of them, but he's like, outside of that, it was just like, I remember listening to that particular song just being like, what the hell is
what happened?
What have I just listened to?
Yeah.
Actually, tie it all together too. Have y'all ever seen when on MTV they did a thing where it was like the premiere for Purple Rain, and Little Richard shows up. And he's trying to like turn into an ad for himself. He's like, Prince reminds me of a younger version of me. And he has a Bible that he wants to give Prince. And then they bring out Eddie Murphy right afterwards. And Eddie Murphy looks at the camera and goes, Prince reminds me of a younger version of me.
But Little Richard had this. I remember my friend telling me about this interview that he had heard, that he read or had heard or something like that. I think he'd read it. That apparently, according to Little Richard, Buddy Holly had the largest penis known to man.
I would have thought it was the Big Bopper.
Apparently, yeah. And he was just, and like, I would love to have been in the room to see Little Richard. Yeah. Little Richard wax poetic about the glory that is.
I want to know how he
Buddy
I was
Holly's
just about
penis.
to say, yeah.
Well, apparently he was really into voyeurism. That was like one of the things where he was like.
Chuck Berry too. That must have been a thing.
Well, no, he was into like getting guys to like have sex with his girlfriend or whatever, and just have him like just hanging out in the car watching. Just like, yeah, you roll over like that, just like barking commands.
That's the whole reason he had a girlfriend.
But he was just waxing poetic, just like Buddy Holly, just like talking about Buddy Holly's member. Just
now that I know that, I can't wash it out of my mind, and I want to. I mean, I can deal with Milton Berle having the dig doggo, but Buddy Holly just.
Buddy Holly had the biggest penis I ever seen.
I guess
Look like a Pringles can. Shut up. Woo!
Things grow bigger in Texas. I guess.
All of my love, all of my kissing, you don't know what you've been missing, oh boy. Oh boy. When you're with me, oh boy. Oh boy. The whole world can see that you were meant for me.
So we were talking earlier about TBS, the Superstation, and there was
Featured
one
among the ranks with James
Future
Brown
Shock was along with the Andy Griffith Show and Braves baseball.
I swear to God,
And
I wouldn't.
Gilligan's Island.
If that still existed, I would just sleep during the Braves games, and that'd be it. Like,
Yeah.
I think most people did back
it'd be
then.
perfect.
Yeah, because they were so terrible.
They were.
I mean, Ted Turner managed them for one game.
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
that bad. But there was one of the undercurrents on TBS was Georgia Championship Wrestling, which turned into WCW.
Thank you very much, and welcome once again to another hour of Georgia Championship Wrestling.
It was actually the highest rated show on cable at one point in 1983. Entertainment Tonight even did a thing about it where they interviewed Ole Anderson, Roddy Piper, and Don Morocco.
Oh Jesus, that's a ugly trio.
Stan Hansen was there too, but fortunately he didn't say anything. He might have wrecked the studio.
I would have loved. Was John Tesh on the show? Because I would love to have seen John Tesh interviewing Roddy Piper or something like that.
I saw John Tesh live, but I didn't know what I was seeing. I wasn't aware of the gravity of the situation until years later, but like I was probably 4 or 5 and I was at Disney World with my folks for Christmas, and it was Christmas Eve and I wanted to go to the Haunted Mansion. So we're walking towards the Haunted Mansion. We have to walk by Cinderella's castle, and I remember looking up and going, "Hey Mom, that's the guy from Entertainment Tonight." And she goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "Let's go to the Haunted Mansion. This sucks." And then like years later I was like, "Holy shit, I saw 10 seconds of a John Tesh concert when I was like 5.
Yeah, well, didn't they used to have a thing at Disney World where they'd have like fairly well-known people just giving concerts there?
Yeah, they always play
Jackson 5,
oh, no, Dick,
Osmonds, things like that.
I'm kicking myself in the ass because I wanted to go to this so bad. I think it was probably 2007 or 2008, Christmas Eve, Cinderella's Castle, Orlando, Florida. Eddie Money.
Two tickets to paradise.
2 tickets to paradise, and I didn't go. I wanted to.
Eddie Money. Don't get me started on Eddie Money.
Well, first of all,
he's so ridiculous.
If I get married, and I don't know if that'll ever happen, but if I do, all the groomsmen and I will walk into Walk on Water by Eddie Money, which is
Believe in me.
Yeah,
your heart is true.
No, my favorite thing is he runs out of lyrics 3 minutes, 4 minutes in, and then the last 2 minutes of the song is just na 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 na. That's it. That's the end of the song. And the funny that's like late era Eddie Money. That's like that's 1990. And Patton Oswalt has a joke where he says there's like a thing in 80s videos where they all look like they're shot in a factory that apparently only produces sparks. I think Patton is referring to the Walk on Water video. That is like it probably happened in other ones, but they are literally in a factory where a guy's just grinding down a muffler like in the background, and he's just singing the song. And there's like rain running down the window behind him. Like, it's fucking awesome.
I always love the one with Take Me Home Tonight.
Ronnie Spector.
Yeah, Ronnie.
She is in damn good shape in that video. Let's be honest here.
I like how they insinuate that he played the saxophone solo.
Yeah.
Video, that he just is like there's the whole this is the in the round concert venue, an arena, and he's just out there before the show. Before the sound guys come, before everything comes, and he's just in his weird Hawaiian bum athletic looking shirt, and he's just
bum equipment.
Yeah, he's just like singing to himself, like just I'm so overtaken by the moment that I'm gonna sing "Take Me Home Tonight" and play the saxophone solo, and then magically Ronnie Spector materializes because he keeps evoking her by saying "just like Ronnie said," and like she materializes. And like for some reason, like it's such a magical moment that the Jumbotron turns on. There's no lights really in the studio, but somebody just turns on the Jumbotron. I don't know if it's Ronnie Spector, but somebody turns on the Jumbotron.
Were you the one,
my little baby?
Yeah, were you the one telling me that like his daughter sings that part now?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so fucked up. Like, apparently when he performs live, his daughter sings Ronnie Spector's part in "Take Me Home Tonight," which is just gross.
Did you know that when he originally recorded like 12 takes of the song, the lyrics originally "Suck My Dick Tonight"?
Is that true?
So he would go and say, "Suck my dick tonight," and the producers look at him. This thing's got "hit" written all over it. And he would just look at them and say, "No, man, this is my song. Look, if you change this, I think we can get Ronnie Spector. No, man, this is my song." But they talked him into it. See, sometimes it's good. You know, I think it was Orson Welles who said, you know, the absence of limitations is the enemy of art. And it's a good thing that he didn't just have yes men around, because we would have been missing all that great 80s-ness if he went with his original lyrics.
That reminds me, somebody told me that the song Here I Go Again on My Own by Night Ranger, there's the line...
No, that's Whitesnake.
Is it Whitesnake?
That's Whitesnake.
What? Oh, Night Ranger is Sister Christian.
Yeah.
I always get Sister Christian.
Don't tell me Motorin.
Yeah, Motorin.
By the way, the scene in Boogie Nights. Ricky Springfield is a buddy. Remember that? With Motorin, and they got, what's it, Rehad Jackson? That scene's a masterpiece.
But yeah, so Whitesnake singing the song, and the original line was, like a hobo, I was born to walk alone.
Yeah.
And they ended up changing it because when you listen to it, he's like, nope, sounds like I'm saying homo. We got to change it. Like, what would it matter? It doesn't make any sense.
Twister?
Huh?
Like, I'm like a twister.
No, he says like a drifter.
Oh, I thought he said twister.
No, he says...
Am I the only one who was annoyed when people use hobo and homeless interchangeably?
Yeah, exactly. There's a bum, a tramp, and a hobo.
Exactly.
They're three
Hobo
completely
is a
different
subculture
things. They're all homeless.
Of itinerant workers that flourished during the Depression.
And they have a code of ethics.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. There's like tramp symbols. That could be a whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Whenever I drive in Culver City, there's a road called Motor Avenue. And I hate driving by that road because every time I drive by it, I hear the lyric in Sister Christian. It's like motoring and
what's your time tonight?
My fiance admitted to me that she herself has also driving by Motor Avenue has had that line from Sister Christian.
That girl's a keeper, man.
Yeah, I know she is. Motoring.
What the hell do they actually say?
That's what's your price for flight? Something like that.
Is that it?
That's what I always thought.
Times tonight.
Like, what price are you willing to pay to get the hell out of here, Sister Christian? What's your price for flight?
Give me 2
Is that
tickets
true?
to paradise.
That was just like I hate that. I just can't stand that song. That's like one of those songs that I cannot.
It's a terrible song.
Stand. Like it's like there's that. It's part of that corpus of like what has become classic rock.
Yeah.
That like Sister Christian and Bon Jovi.
Oh, and it's fucking the estrogen rock song there. Don't Stop Believing.
Oh, yeah.
God, the rise of that song. I was at a Pawtucket Red Sox game once, and they started playing that like in between innings and things. And there were two they were like Orthodox Jewish girls there. They were getting down to it. It's something about that song. It just it matches the female estrogen or something, and they all think it's actually music.
Gets in my craw. That song. It's the worst.
There's a lot of just bad shit out there. Am I the only one too that thinks AC/DC is incredibly overrated?
I enjoy AC/DC.
I like
it's
Bon
not like
Scott.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I like the Bon Scott.
Let
is
There
much
Be Rock.
Better.
Great.
Bon Scott is much better, but I think for years AC/DC was this kind of thing. Back when rock and roll mattered and was actually a cultural force, AC/DC was like a cartoon popcorn version of rock and roll that you only liked if you were in high school when it was big, or if there was no Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin around that was better. And it seems as rock has become less culturally significant, AC/DC, because they were really just like a cartoon parody of rock and roll anyway, have become more and more important in the rock canon. Because people can't tell the difference between like mock rock and real rock no mos.
There's I remember like I love Bon Scott era AC/DC. Like the first 2 albums, A Long Way to the Top, If You Want to Rock and Roll, is an amazing
The bagpipes
song.
are really effective.
Oh yeah, and Jailbreak and
Let There Be Rock, man.
Oh, those are great songs.
I had
but there was
Dirty Deeds. I got it for $0.25 on tape at a flea market.
That's a good one too.
Yep.
But like when Brian Johnson came in, it just got horrible. And the one thing I always have in my mind is when I was in high school, they would play Thunderstruck during the football games at least 7. Like that was the only song they had to play. And it would just be like somebody would like come out and it'd be like, "Going to Texas, Texas,"
that guy sounds like he listens to too much Nazareth.
Yeah. Well, I will say I do like Back in Black. And
I don't
hate it.
I don't hate really any of these. I just think they're all severely overrated.
It's diminishing returns after Back in Black, as far as I'm concerned. But leading up to it, it's fine. And what was fun was I got to go to Cologne in Germany, and the cathedral there has literally the exact same tone as the bell on Hell's Bells and rings in the same tempo.
Wow.
So once an hour, every hour, it would just go bong, bong, and then just in my head, I just hear down, 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 down. I couldn't live in Cologne. It would be motoring times 1,000. I would just go crazy.
What's the fucking end of the last one with the first singer to the Bon Scott, and it's like Nightcrawler or something like that.
Yeah,
and
Nightcrawler.
he's just babbling at the end. It's like,
I'll see you next time. Nanu nanu, Shazbat.
And all that shit, like when Mork and Mindy was big.
What?
He starts just babbling, and he starts doing like stuff from Mork and Mindy, which is really dated when you think about it.
Yeah.
He always remember that cartoon. Never one of my favorites. Remember that cartoon, Rocko's Modern Life?
Yeah, absolutely.
I always thought that Wallaby guy on it sounded like fucking Bon Scott.
No worries, Hiff.
It's the same guy as Taco Bell Dog.
Is it?
Same guy, Carlos Alazraqui.
And he's also on Reno 911.
And he's Officer Garcia on Reno 911.
He's had a very storied career.
Hell
if you
yeah.
will.
I love Rocco's Modern Life. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one of my favorites.
When it comes to grouse out humor, the only one I like is Ed and Eddie.
Wow, that's a high.
It's a high standard I have. I admit.
Well, no, I'm not saying a high standard. That's like a very strange choice.
It's Ed and Eddie is a good character show.
So I figured you were going
like
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
No, I was never that big on that.
No?
I was never that big on that one. No. The other gross out thing I liked wasn't a cartoon. It was, I don't remember, You Can't Do That on Television.
Oh, yeah.
That one. Yeah.
What
do you think's in the
Who
burgers?
hosted that?
Her name was Moose.
That's what,
Alanis
she was just
Morissette,
on it, right?
She was just on it once, and a friend of mine once said, like, you can tell whether or not somebody has actually seen You Can't Do That on Television or not, because if the first thing they say is Alanis Morissette, that means they never saw it, because she was in like one episode.
Right,
it's just
right.
one of those random kids in it.
Alanis Morissette.
She got head in the movie theater from that other boy there, or she gave head, I should say.
Yeah.
Dave Coulier, who was also on Nickelodeon. Remember that one?
Uncle Joey.
Cut it out. It was
I wonder,
out of control.
I always wondered, like, in that part of, like, the event that she was referencing in that song, which, by the way, it was Dave Coulier that she was going down on in a theater.
Yeah.
If he, like...
Nickelodeon hookup there.
Yeah, I wonder if he did the Bullwinkle voice when he was getting it in the theater. Just, like, doing that stupid Bullwinkle. That was his, like, go-to. That was like his go-to, like if he didn't have anything to say on America's Funniest People or his cameo on some Nickelodeon show, it's into the Bullwinkle, you know.
Yeah.
I think it was actually Popeye. But not this Popeye when he get in that muttering. I'll be there. I think that was it because it goes well.
Well, it's like he was like kind of a low rent Adam Sandler. Like you could honestly imagine like Dave Coulier.
I don't think there's anything more lower rent.
But I can imagine like that possibly in some alternate universe, some like Turtle Dove like alternate universe where like Harold Stanson was the president or something like that. Like that it was actually Dave Coulier that became Adam Sandler, and Adam Sandler went off into obscurity after, going overboard. That Dave Coulier would be the guy.
I can't stand Adam Sandler.
I can't either.
It's one of my greatest pet peeves in life. I went to that Chinese theater with the footprints and shit. I saw him there. I walked away. I said, no fucking way he should be here with John Wayne. I cannot stand him. Generations of my family can't stand him. It's like a Hannibalic oath or something. I just despise him. Except that one Billy Madison, which had a couple of moments.
Yeah, see, all right. I always get into this discussion with people where it's like, fuck Adam Sandler. All that shit sucks. And then everybody goes, Billy Madison's all right. And then the next person goes, I kind of like Happy Gilmore. Like, yeah, that's all right.
Well, I mean, like,
and then the next person goes, The Waterboy's not so bad. And then eventually you're all the way caught up and you've completely doubled back on your position.
He had an all right niche at one point for like goofy comedy.
Oh, hell yeah.
They weren't making Police Academy movies no more.
Yeah.
But
no, I think Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore are both fucking hilarious. I think The Waterboy's funny.
Detestable human being.
Yeah.
How does he still keep making movies?
Because he has figured out exactly how much money his movie is going to make, and he makes it for under that.
Like $1 less.
Huh? I guess. Yeah.
It's like one of those mysteries.
Budget.
Like how does Jennifer Aniston keep making movies?
Yeah.
How does she convince people she's hot because she's not? The only good thing I can say about Jennifer Aniston is that isn't she related in some backdoor kind of way to Telly Savalas?
I believe
and that's
so.
the only thing that I'll say for her.
Telly Savalas is awesome.
Telly Savalas is one of the greatest men to ever live.
And when
if baby.
He
Can't remember the rest of it.
There's a song where if
I actually don't know the words.
I don't either, but it was like a bread song. It was a song by the band
It
Bread.
was, but this is a different kind of bread. I don't care if you're male, I don't care if you're female, you're going to be wet listening to this stuff because Telly just had that voice that just seduces you and makes every pore in your body feel like a treat. I could go for some right now. I'm almost turning myself on just thinking about it.
If a picture could paint 1,000 words,
remember
I would be with you.
He had the other one too. You ever hear the one that's like it's like a 70s funk. It's like, who loves you, baby, baby, baby. Have you ever heard that one?
Who loves you, baby?
Yeah.
I've heard
That's
that.
good shit.
It's great.
He had a lot of good shit.
Telly Savalas is, but yeah, Jennifer Aniston. Like, it's one of those things where it's almost like the tabloids just kind of do this sort of like this like sort of weird reverse psychology where they like, if they indoctrinate, it's almost like propaganda in a way where they're just like, how does Jennifer Aniston do it and stay hot at such an age?
Yeah.
And like people are just like, man, maybe she is. People magazine.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
She's never been hot. Just because she's in shape now doesn't never make her hot. She was slightly cute earlier in her career, like
Well,
that,
I mean, when
that
she had
episode of Quantum Leap that she was on, and maybe the first Leprechaun, but that's about it.
Well, when she had her butt on the cover of that Rolling Stone cover, you know, where it was like she had the Rachel do, and like you could see her butt in the distance, off focus. You know, that I was a fan of that when I was like 14.
Who invented the Rachel?
I don't know.
Charlie Watts, Rolling Stone. Watch Gimme Shelter. Look at the hairdo Charlie Watts has. Charlie Watts had the Rachel way back in 1969.
All right. I think that's as good a way to end it as we can.
I know.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Bum Equipment. Equip your bum with some of that shit. It'll be sleek. It'll be a tight, sleek ass. Glide right in there.
Was that their slogan? Like,
yeah, it was like your ass must be a limousine. That's how it is.
I'm Rivers Langley.
I'm Pat Riley.
And I'm Mr. Goodnight.
This is the Goods from the Woods. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for a funky time. Call us up whenever.
Hey, thank you very, very much for letting me in your home. And right now, I got to go and talk to a couple of fellows that's standing around the corner. Wait for them. They'll be back. Check them out and see what they got to say. It's been a gas.